In this episode, we're talking all about CRMs, and we're going to talk about it being demystified because there's so many things that we use CRMs for. Lots of people are like always ask the question, which CRM should I use? I think people get CRM envy all the time as well too. They're just kind of like, oh, she's using that. Oh, he's using this. Today, we're going to talk about how Ian and I use our CRMs, what features we find very important. We'll go into some of them into some detail so that you can kind of find out what would work best for your business.
Wired for Real Estate podcast, the show that's all about empowering agents with the latest tech, tools, and tactics to take your business to the next level. If you're a producing agent who's looking to boost your productivity and enhance your marketing effectiveness, you're in the right place.
Join us as we explore the cutting-edge strategies and insights that are shaping the real estate industry today. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, our expert guests and hosts will share valuable tips and practical advice to help you succeed.
So sit back, tune in, and get ready to elevate your real estate game with the Wired for Real Estate podcast.
Okay, Ian. So let's just start off with the CRM that you use, which is?
Well, I use Chime because our brokerage provides that at phenomenal cost savings for us. And so that's one reason, but also both of us have gone through a lot of different CRMs in our tenure as realtors, and I've found Chime to be probably one of the most robust and easy to use simultaneously. Right. Sometimes you'll have to sacrifice one for the other. I love that Chime has all of the things that I need in one system. So that's why I love that.
And then I use Follow Up Boss. Now I have access to Chime as well, but I don't use it as a CRM. I use it as the website because it is so affordable for us to use.
It is.
I didn't want to redo my entire CRM just to move because I actually am very invested into my CRM, and I'm not just talking cash. I'm talking about workflows and action plans and client files and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't invested yourself into one, other than the fact that you have client information like phone numbers and emails, that's really easy to extract and then put into the new one. But I would highly recommend when you're all in, you're all in. So I have the CRM, I have Chime as the website fronting. And because Chime and Follow Boss can talk, I do have them speaking to each other. And when we say talk, I'm talking about using Zapier, however you say it, to have automation. So I'm not like having someone sign up on the website on Chime and then me manually typing in the lead on Follow Up Boss. It's an automation. So it's automatically happening. Follow Up Boss is interesting because it also has the ability to show me some of the basic stuff from Chime. So I do actually see some of the things they're looking at. So it does show me some of the information. Chime obviously gives you a lot more information. So maybe let's talk about that. One of the functionalities of not all CRMs, but some, is the ability to have a front-facing website for your clients to search for homes. Now, they don't all have it because like Follow Us doesn't have that. That's why I'm using Chime in that element.
So you got to think about what the intent of a CRM is. That's in my mind, that's how I kind of break it down. The intent, the definition is client or customer relationship management, right?
Mm-hmm.
The customer's relationship is almost any time you interface with them. And so the fact that Chime has a website feature built in makes it seem like to the client, everything is easier. I think. But I think we're going to explore that too. So
yeah, I think client relationship management system is a big thing in terms of remembering to record it down. That's, I think, a big challenge for realtors, even myself included.
Oh yeah.
You don't your client can call you, you can call your client, but you didn't take that step to record that conversation, not necessarily physically record the conversation, but take some notes. If someone says to you, oh yeah, I was just talking to my friend Ian who says that they want to sell in a few months.
Yep.
You want to actually be able to, I want to put a note in. Spoke to Tom about Ian selling a house, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and we're gonna get into that deeper in a little bit, but I think that's crucial. I think most success, what is it? your riches are in the niches is one, and then something about your database. Like if you have 1,000 people in your database and you just focus on that wholeheartedly and consistently, you will absolutely generate more than $1 million a year in GCI in most markets.
Let's talk about what does focusing on your database even mean?
Well, it's going to be something else that the CRM provides, which is consistency, follow-up. We call them drip campaigns. There's a lot to it. Now,
but it doesn't just all happen automatically. You don't just go into Chime, throw in the names, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's auto. Well, you have to do some pre-setup.
It's kind of funny that you say that because it depends on the CRM. Chime has, and I'm sure Follow Up Boss and everything else will start creating these AI elements, but Chime does have, and it's called Smart Plans, but we'll talk about that later too. So it's freaking awesome. But you said something earlier about it's easy to extract the data for your customers if they haven't invested much time in their CRM. In the United States, I don't know if it's like this in Canada, but in the United States, some of the brokerages own your clients, and some of the big teams own your clients and the database. So that means that you could work for a big team or work for a brokerage, and you do all this work. You meet all these people, but then if you decide to switch brokerages or switch teams or whatever, you don't get to bring those people with you, and they have it locked in the database. That, to me, is unacceptable because I'm building this business.
Let's pause there for a second. Yeah. Some agents don't build their business. They go into a team and they're being fed business. Yes. So that is why it's staying there. But if you are an agent that's like, let's say you're on a team and you're building your own sphere, I think that you should be able to have that. I think as a ex-team leader, I used to be a team leader, we spent a lot of money investing into these leads. Now they're Google pay-per-click leads. Yeah. When I say a lot of money, it is a lot of money because it's super competitive. So they use Google pay-per-click to feed leads through a website. So Boomtown, Sync, Chime, all those types of things to feed you business. Now, those are, I don't necessarily call them CRMs, but they call themselves CRMs. I just find that they're a place where you can, you gather the leads. They're searching for homes on the website. That's a place where there's a bunch of those leads, but in the CRM sense of like keeping in touch with them. Cause I guess in my brain, a CRM is for people like Sphere. How am I reaching out to them for birthdays, house anniversaries, what's going on with the transaction? So let's just go back into the website fronting of Chime. Yeah. How easy is it? I mean, I went and did it. I liked it because Chime has it's so easy to make a pretty looking website, hence the reason I did it. And they all look different. They're not like some standard template. Yeah. So I'm going to start off by showing just what my website looks like. Actually, you can pull that up. ianofboston.com. Just so this is what the customer sees. And then I'll go into the back end and show you how easy it is for agents to adjust it. Okay. So this was a new theme that had come out, and I just clicked the button and it switched to look like this. It has the buy and sell box. I have an affordability calculator on there. I have all my socials, market, what's going on in the market, and then videos. Like, it's very, very clean. And even reviews. There's all sorts of stuff. And then I have here. Yep, I've got the buttons up there. I've got merchandise. I've got under home, buy, sell, education. If you just mouse over those. So I've got a buyer's guide, seller's guide, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to show people what my website looks like so they can see the difference. They're both Chime sites. They're both Chime. Okay, that's good. I was like, but my browser's all weird. So I have a video. Oh, you did a video. So I was curious about that because of the loading times and people's level of patience. I don't know. I love video, obviously. My settings on my website on my computer are weird. So it's kind of a bad example because I have it all small, but anyways. Well, let's talk about that too. Chime is really good at making mobile sites mobile accessible as well. Most people are shopping on their phone, looking at houses on their phone, not on their desktop. Yeah. And I did check this to make sure it all works, but I like that your map settings on my computer just make it smaller. on another browser, it's totally fine. So anyways, 2 different websites, both using Chime. They can have a completely different look to them.
Yeah.
However you want, right? There's a guy here, let me just pull up his, in Calgary. He also uses Chime, but I don't know what his website is. Zach Turlier.
I bet if you, there you go. Oh, that's Realtor. You can probably find website in there, huh?
Here I go. Realtor website.
There you go.
There you go. So this is also Chime.
Oh yeah. So that's also Chime. Okay. Yeah. Super clean. And that's the thing. This is probably just a template. Click up a button. Chime also offers something.
Oh, he has locked account. See?
Oh, I love that. Oh, I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, I don't do that. But that is something you can do to get get clients to register. That's a whole nother thing. But when your clients register, then they become clients on your back end on your CRM.
Yeah.
And then you're able to kind of see that. Now, we talked about how when you put people into a CRM, it doesn't automatically do stuff for you. But when it comes to online leads with Chime, it does do stuff on its own. Like the AI bot, for some reason, mine's named Anna. It talks to people, and I don't even know who this person is because I get this text saying so-and-so is asking you to call them. And I'm like, what? I don't pay for Google pay-per-click ads right now, right? But someone just happened to be on the website, and it's kind of crazy. The AI bot is nuts. And it also can rate your client. So if you take a look at their their account on Chime, it shows how recently they are. I think it gives a percentage as well too, right? Of their probability of buying or
and selling.
Yeah.
It gives a score.
Yes.
It's like a calculated algorithmic score.
Yeah. And Follow Up Boss doesn't do that because Follow Up Boss just kind of has a generic, it's just more of the traditional CRM in my sense of just like, once I have the client, I've made that relationship, I talk to them, whatever it is, then I put them in and then I put things in. Whereas Chime is getting people right at the very beginning.
I think what I'd want to ask people that are watching this or tuning in, if you have a minute, you can send us a DM on Instagram or Facebook, or you can just type in the comments. If you are using a CRM, what is it? If you're using a spreadsheet, I'm curious to know that too. But let's take a sidestep and say, what is the thing that you think would help you improve your client relationships, take notes, and remember all of the important things that are happening in their lives? Like, let's say you're brand new in the business or you're tenured. Like, what are you missing that could take you to the next level? I think that's the place to start.
I also think too, here, what are the basics, right? Because you can get really overwhelmed with all of these automations, AI, the pay-per-click ads, the la la la. Let's just start with the basics and go to your phone, look at all the people on your phone and start putting them into a spreadsheet. Take that spreadsheet and upload it into whatever CRM you're using. And I always tell people the basic information you need: phone number, email, birthday, and address.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't have them all, that's your job. Your job is to get the email, phone number. If you only have one piece, get the other piece.
Yeah.
And if you just focus on that first to build up a proper CRM, you can't really do much without all of the information. So all of your CRMs, no matter what you're using, should be able to record that basic information. Then I feel like once you have all that information, now we look at automations. So you mentioned smart plans on Chime. I use action plans on Follow Up Boss. Okay. Action plans do have some automations built in depending on what you're trying to do. So for example, I can set up an automation where every single time it's that person's birthday, it sends me an alert on AM cards, because AM cards is integrated into Follow Up Boss, and says we want to send a birthday
cards. You gotta help people understand what AM cards are.
AM cards is like a birthday card, house anniversary. It's a greeting card company that is looks like handwritten notes.
Yes.
And so we do that. Now it's kind of funny because it comes from Florida. So when my clients get them in Canada, they think I'm on holidays.
Yeah.
So that's how convincing the handwriting is. But no, it just comes from Florida. But it makes it really simple, because then the CRM just asks you, If you want to be sending out a card, which card do you want? And it makes it super simple. Now, if you don't have that automation, just go to the basics and just go, a task just pops up and says, send birthday card. So then when you're doing your tasks, when you're doing your login to Follow Up Boss or login to Chime, go into your task and go, this is what I have to do today. And one of the things you have to do today is send out cards. Because then you mentioned this earlier. How do you remember everybody? How do you remember? Like, Facebook's helpful for remembering birthdays, but how do you remember everyone's birthdays? How do you remember everyone's house number?
Here's where it hit me. I created a Facebook video, and I basically talked about, listen, I know it's your birthday. We may or may not have talked in a while, but here's what I wanted to know. And then I just talked about the birthday and how special it can be. And I wanted to know what they were up to, because we don't necessarily keep in touch. So I would put that in a direct message to everybody when my Facebook birthdays would pop. And it was a great way to keep my social media content at the top of their feeds and keep our relationship strong. But then people started hopping off of Facebook, or they never had Facebook. And when that happened, I realized, like, people started boycott. I was like, who would boycott Facebook? And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not like a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are boycotting it for whatever reason. So when you don't have access to that information, it gets chaotic. And it's not just birthdays. You don't own it. And that's the whole point of the CRM. And like you said, the spreadsheet, or just having access to this information at any time. It's not about being in control. How would I say this? It's not about having complete control over everything. No, it's about a social media company or your brokerage or team or somebody else saying, oh, you can't access this information about your clients anymore because we made a change to our process.
Well, and let's be honest, that's your livelihood. The majority of realtors' business should be coming from your sphere, from your database, from the people that all that work you're doing to cultivate the relationship. So that's a big thing. Everyone's so into, like, I want to make a TikTok video that's viral. I want to make a YouTube video that's viral. I want to make an Instagram video that's viral. But that's not what's actually going to get you the real business. You might get in front of people that way. You might meet people that way. But you need to build a relationship. And, like, obviously you can build a relationship through social, but you got to move it off of social into the offline world, which is what we're talking about. The birthday thing, I want to just go back to that. What do you have on Chime? Does Chime record birthdays? Like, do you have a section, like an area for the birthdays? Can you pull reports for birthdays?
So you can... We're gonna do we have to do a deep dive video on Chime itself, but to answer the question, you can create custom fields for just about anything on a client's record. So if I wanted to add a birthday field, I think it's already there, but if I wanted to add,
I think the birthday field is already there because Follow Up Boss also has custom fields.
Yeah.
The issue with custom fields for Follow Up Boss side, you cannot do as many things. So you can record it all, but if I wanted to pull a report on all the birthdays for the month of May, if it's a custom field, it doesn't work. But if it's just a regular field, it works.
So what Chime allows is you can export almost any information in a tabular data format, spreadsheet style. So you can export all of your client information in a spreadsheet at the very least. It's kind of rudimentary. It might not be a report, but you can also custom create reports. That's all super advanced. So I'm...
Because for, like, we
70% sure you can make it happen.
We record kids' birthdays.
Oh,
kids' birthdays are what is more important. So we've been sending out kids' birthday cards.
See, okay, let me pause you right there. If people are listening to this is the kind of stuff that separates the agents that sell 2 or 3 houses a year and can barely make it, to the people that are investing in their careers and their business long-term and hit an actual top producer status, not just posting it on Instagram, but they don't have the numbers to back it up. Kids' birthdays, holy crap. That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, because we use it all the time. We always are asking clients when we have our Santa events and our Easter egg hunts, how old are your kids? How old are your kids? I'm like, okay, we have asked these people many times, how old are their kids? Yes. Maybe we should just get their birthdays so we don't have to keep asking how old are their kids.
Dude,
Then we also created a tag that says kids age 3 to 12, because we get different gifts based on the kids' ages. And then we also, during our pandemic time, we were sending a lot more emails, and I wanted to email them based on their kids' ages. So if their kids were not in teenager land, it was like this kind of email content versus this kind of email content. So tagging is another one that I use on our CRM on a regular basis, again, to filter lists out, to kind of go, who do I want to reach out to? We do like Family Day donuts. We have a Family Day holiday here in Canada, in Alberta. And so we go, who are all the families? I've had people who are not families saying, hey, how come I don't get donuts? I'm like, well, you could, but you know, why does one person get 6 donuts and a family of 5 get 6 donuts? Like that's not really so fair either, right? So we're just trying to customize things to increase that experience, like you just talked about. We want a good customer experience, and this is all pre-transaction. This is not during the transaction. And we use action plans. I've created one. So realtors are maybe familiar with the terminology drip campaigns. When you're like doing the drips, where you're dripping is basically automated emails or text messages or tasks to reach out to people to keep in touch with them before they're ready to buy or sell. And
but they're not smart. They're just something you create, and it's almost like a newsletter. It just happens.
Yeah, you can customize it to like when you want it to go out and what you want it to say. But I changed it into, instead of it being only for people buying and selling, I'm like, let's just take that ability to automate tasks by certain times for, hey, every 3 months, I need to reach out and text or call this person, depending on if they're a VIP or not. So I've created it's called a 33 touch plan, because we use the old millionaire real estate agent terminology, but we make sure that like every 3 months. So the reason I'm saying this is it's in a plan that you can activate for a client, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. I just have to make sure I do my tasks. Now that's a whole nother issue. Do I do my tasks? Not always.
The CRMs will tell you if you do or don't. That's the beauty of it.
You can tell the ones that you're overdue and whatnot too. But then you can also have help, right? Like I'm getting my team, AKA also known as my child, to help me complete some of the tasks that I don't have to be the one. Like he's not calling my clients, but he's going to be able to help send things out for me. So every year I kind of look at what am I doing for the year to keep in touch with this person. So that's kind of, we use action plans. I'm very intrigued by smart plans, because I did see that as an option for Chime, because there's automation and AI stuff, right? So can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think, I'll start there. So we have this thing in Chime called smart plans, which when we're going to do a deep dive into Chime. So I already said that, and I'll go into more depth with it and show you. But the smart plans are essentially a hybrid between the dumb drip campaigns, which don't know anything. It's all manual. Like you have to set it all up for them. And then it's just based on the date or the trigger that you create. That's a drip campaign. AI it will do everything for you. And it kind of figures out, like it knows, hey, if it's this person's birthday, we're going to do this. And it does it with very minimal user input. Smart plans sit somewhere in the middle. So what they are is it's based on things like, let's say a customer goes into your website and they visited one house 5 times. The smart plan then knows, hey, they like this style house. They probably want to schedule a showing. So it'll send them an email saying, would you like to schedule a showing to see this? Here's your availability. And future houses, so it's learning, that's why it's smart. Future houses will be more like that particular house. It's crazy.
So the smart plans that you're talking about make a lot of sense for that potential buyer or seller that's on your website, like the pre stuff, the stuff I was talking about, like with your sphere, keeping in touch with them. I'm not sure the smart plan would work, because it's not like my friend is on my website searching homes.
Here's the thing. I think your friend is searching, but they may or may not tell you until they're actually ready. And if they own a home already, it's a great way for them to get updates on the value of their home, what's going on in the market. And it stays smart in that it sticks with the things that they like to look at on your site at the very least.
Right, but I do have clients who, once they've bought, they don't want any information. They don't even want the monthly update. So
you can turn them off.
A different plan. Pardon me?
Yeah. Turn the smart plan off. That's fine.
Yeah, and we've created a different plan to make sure we still keep in touch with them. So just because they don't want that information, it doesn't mean they don't want to stay in touch. Now, there's some people that don't want to have anything to do with the events. Maybe they're just more introverted. They're like, I bought my house. I'm done. The box is checked off and they don't want to keep in touch. But then I have other people that we call it the real life family, because it's like, I've created a family where it's the same people that are coming out to events, and they're the ones like excited for their kids. And they're so excited that I'm always planning stuff for their kids. That's a different group of people. You're not, not everybody is going to be dumped into that same category. That's just the reality of it. Right. So what else on your CRM do you like functionality wise? Do you like?
I'm going to get to that in a second. I just want to say, for anybody who's seeing what's happening, I just want to let you know that I had a slight hiccup yesterday. I ran over something on the road. So now I'm at like a service center, just kind of going through this podcast for y'all. So hopefully you're not distracted by the people walking back and forth. Anyway, so one of the things that I think is super important for you to consider when you're looking into any CRM, what does the experience look like for the consumer? So like the website, but also on your end, mobile. So what I mean by that is Chime has a pretty robust app for iPhone or for Android where you can do almost everything while you're driving or at an office or somewhere. So if I wanted to pull up and call one of my leads, it's all tracked through the system because I have a mobile app. So there is no question of, have I called this person in 3 weeks? Because it's traced through my phone if I install the mobile app.
So we Follow Boss also has a mobile app. Mm-hmm. If I make the call from the app, it will track it. But if I make the phone call not from the app, it will not track it.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
They should be smart enough though to not have to go into the app. I wish it would be smart enough just to be like, it's on the phone, you make the call, and it would sync with your actual contacts, right? Because like my contacts on my phone is different than my contacts in the app because they're not actually synced.
Oh, Chime will let you sync. Or even if it didn't, you could use Zapier or something to sync to your contact.
And maybe I can do that too, but I have not done that.
You can. You can do that. That's a good one.
It is like what you said. You can go on your CRM and you can look up the name and you can go, I just talked to this person 2 weeks ago, or, oh, hey, I talked to them 6 months ago. We also record texts on our side. Can you record texts on your side?
You can choose to record, yes. Wait. Text messages?
No, text. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do text messages. You can also record audio.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm just talking about text messages because it's nice to be able to, the one thing I really like is when I'm having a text conversation with a client in there, and there's information that my assistant needs, I can just be like, hey, we just had a conversation. She can pop onto this Follow Boss, look up at Ian's, look that up and look and see the conversation we just had. So that I don't have to copy and paste, screenshot, whatever. It's all there. So it's another feature I really like to have.
We should jump into that. We should jump into when you're looking at any CRM, there's a high probability that if you start off as a real estate agent, you will eventually want to grow, if not a team, then a base of help, which is like a support system, right? And they might need access to your CRM. So Chime, for example, will let you add in your lender, will let you add in your assistant, will let you add in other members of your team.
Extra? Like, is it extra seats?
Depending on who they are. Lenders are not extra seats, agents are. Assistants, I don't believe are extra seats.
So in Follow Up Boss, any user is an extra seat.
Well, so the other thing is that could just be how our brokerage has the relationship with Chime. But I'm saving practically $450 a month by having it through the brokerage versus if I were to pay for this.
And Chime is a very robust system. Follow Up Boss also is too, but it's not I don't pay that. No, I don't pay $450 a month. And now I think we're losing Ian on the feed because it's all frozen.
It paused for just a second, but I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay. So, you're talking about the seats and the agents, and so individual agent versus a team. So there's some great team functions as a team when you have a CRM. There are some really great features. I know in Follow Up Boss, you can see people's speed to lead, which is how quickly are people responding. You're wondering, when did I last contact this person? Well, now you as a team lead can look and see, when did your agent last contact this person? I think Chime has the same thing too, right?
Yeah.
It's the key elements. Like when you're part of a team, there's key performance indicators that
it's crazy.
You need to check, right? Like you need to see, and there's also ways of distributing leads. So in Follow Up Boss, if you have got like this is where your leads come from and it funnels in, then it can assign. If you're only the person assigning, obviously it's just one person. Chime has the same thing too, right?
Yeah.
So the ability for lead flow.
You can do queues. You can do random distribution. You can do based on productivity. Like it's kind of scary how much you can do for your team and your leads. So I think I have a lead fund. Say it again.
I said it makes it simpler that it can do these things instead of you having to manually go, okay, this person didn't call anyone, so they're going to get less leads now. This one's always on it. We're going to give them more. Like, it's nice to just have it preset.
I love that question. I had, I had a team, a traditional style team some years back, a partner and I, and we had, 12 agents. I remember the agents started coming to us complaining that they weren't getting leads. They thought we as a team were stealing their leads. And I was like, why would they think that? Well, what was happening is we were putting the leads into a queue system, but the agents, because they weren't using the software to call, it didn't know that they were calling the leads or picking up the calls, so it wouldn't distribute leads to them. It was because they didn't know how to use the tool, not because we were doing anything. And that was just a gap, because you have to learn how to use this tool that's at your disposal. So both Follow Up Boss and Chime are extremely robust. You really need to learn what elements are important. And that's why I said can improve your business in your mind, and then talk to somebody who has an incredible business and say, what are the things that you think are most important in this business? And ask for like 10. Don't ask for one. If you ask for one, they're going to tell you relationships. It's like, okay, well, yeah, what else? How do you manage those relationships? Ask Pete. That's the question. Ask, what were you going to say?
We have not asked ChatGPT anything today. And I just realized when it comes to CRMs, I do find a struggle with them because they don't seem like they understand. Like last time when we did that episode talking about the top CRMs for real estate agents, it did some really high level CRMs, basically because they obviously have more of an internet presence. And I think real estate CRMs don't necessarily have that. So in terms of like ChatGPT,
because it's an antiquated industry. It really is.
Right. Well, and if you ask it, I think you can still use ChatGPT in terms of like, what are the key elements that I should be, mining for to build a solid CRM. You can ask that.
So let's do that. Let's pull up ChatGPT. Yeah, let's ask. I mean, we're for an AI podcast. Let's pull up ChatGPT AI for real estate agents. Let's pull up ChatGPT and say something. What is the key information that you need to have a strong client relationship, to maintain a strong client relationship, something like that.
What are the key elements that I, as a realtor, need to maintain a strong client relationship? Let's see.
That's perfect.
So now it's going to pump out a bunch of stuff. So the first one it talks about, for the people that are listening and not watching on YouTube,
That's okay. I think this is good.
Communication, regular and clear communication is essential. So this is why we're talking about phone calls, emails, text messages, and in-person meetings. So all of our systems can record emails, phone calls, and if you use like in Follow Up Boss, I use the calendar appointment function. So when I create an appointment, it shows up in the client's file. It also is integrated with Gmail or Google. So it shows up in my Google Calendar, and it actually goes to my client's calendar as well. I've had my clients say that to me because I've added them in there. And it also has an automation where that morning at 8 a.m., it'll remind my client of an upcoming meeting. So it's taken out that step. I used to have an assistant do that for me, but it's taken that step out because now it automatically does it if you choose, and it also can email. Active listening. Interesting. Take the time to understand your client's needs, preferences, and concerns. This is to build a relationship, right?
Yes, but that actually works out really well with smart plans and your AI chatbot.
Well, so and see, I didn't say specifically in this prompt. I just said the key elements. I didn't say, what do I need to like actually record in my CRM? So now it's moving into more of the softer things, if that makes sense.
Well,
right.
Yeah, they are soft skills, but the beauty is the CRM can support your soft skills. A lot of people, especially real estate agents that are, I'll say, age is not a protected class in the United States. So younger realtors don't like to pick up the phone. Fine, I get that. This will help them stay in communication via text and automated emails. And you even have the AI that can have some conversation with them. So it helps pick up the slack from the agents that aren't going to pick up the phone and build that relationship.
But
I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm saying that's what it does.
What's the difference between a producing agent and a non-producing agent is the one that's going to get over their fear of the phone, get over themselves and pick up the phone and make phone calls and text messages and actually reach out to them.
I bet it's not. So I kind of want to contest that a little bit. For a lot of people, I'm sure it is the fear. But I think for some people, it's not the fear. It's just society's acceptance that text is easier, faster, sometimes clearer. And when you have a demographic, an age demographic of people that's just their communication style, it's not about not picking up the phone. It's more about like, why would I pick up the phone if I could just text you? And so they're just not processing.
This is a whole nother conversation, but a text conversation is never
It clear. Is. We can slide that.
It's never clear because there's no tonality in a text message ever. So someone who's having a bad day, you write something to somebody and they read it, it's totally different.
Yes.
And I have talked to, this is also a lie I feel like people have bought into, that saying, oh, this is just our generation. We just prefer to text. Well, that's not true. When I meet with clients of all ages, I'm very upfront by saying, when we are negotiating, when we are writing an offer, you need to pick up your phone and talk to me, because what's going to happen is this makes the process less stressful for you and them and way more clear and less chances for feelings to be hurt or people to be misunderstood. Because if you just do text, what text conversation lasts an hour could be a 5-minute phone conversation. So I will always contest it all day long. But anyways, we should go back to the CRM.
There's gonna be some back and forth. I
really text are bad. I text all the time, but I'm just saying there is a time and a place for it.
I'm a big proponent of not getting sued. And so in the United States, people get sue happy. And so if I don't have it written, then I can't prove that I didn't.
But text messages
if I have something written,
not proven. They're not proven in court.
What are they saying? Because you sent it in a text, you may not have actually sent it.
Yeah, you could have had someone else pose as that person and save them in their address book as Ian Williams and respond back and forth. So it has to be.
You can do it with an email. You can do that with an email.
But you're emailing a specific email address.
Oh no,
I don't
I can
know.
spoof an
It just
email
hasn't
address.
hasn't been tested in court here. So if you really want to be safe as an agent,
Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay.
you make a phone conversation
Yeah.
and you send an email follow-up. That's how you do that. And that's exactly why the CRM is so important,
Oh
because
my gosh.
everything is recorded in there. I went and asked
Yeah.
ChatGPT, what are the elements I should be recording in a CRM? And then
Okay.
it now is giving me actual stuff of kind of what we've been talking about. So
Yeah, more hard skills.
yeah, contact
Or
info,
data.
communication history, property preferences, and transaction history.
That's great.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Great. We haven't. Transaction history is huge.
Lead
I remember
source.
when
Oh, that's another one. Key dates,
oh my
tasks and
gosh,
reminders,
yes.
property listings, notes and preferences, and document
Okay.
storage.
Yeah, let's go through them. Because these
So
are all
we've covered the first
incredibly
three.
necessary. Yep.
Pardon?
I said these are incredibly necessary for people that are still looking at, like, deciding on a CRM. If your CRM doesn't allow you to do these types of things, you might be at a deficit, or you might have to have like multiple services to cover those gaps. But these are all things that are now, as I'm seeing them, I'm like, oh, that's good. And
yeah, so
Chime has
transaction history. We use a deal card on Follow Up Boss, and then we can record information there.
Yes.
And you also have action plans for transactions themselves, for transaction management. So that's kind of what we do. Does Chime have much of a transaction management side of things?
They have a whole transaction component that I don't think I'm really using, but it's somewhat automated. Like when you close out a deal in the CRM, then it assigns like how much was it, where was it, and so it puts all that information in there. So it's there. I could use it. I'm not right now. They do not have signatures, from what I understand. You can't do DocuSign or anything like that in the platform yet, but they manage all of the financial aspects of the platform. So
yeah. Follow Up Boss does not do signatures either. I don't think they ever will do it. But Follow Up Boss is not known to be transaction management software, so a lot of people will use open to close. I tried that. That was a bit of a gong show mess, too complicated. I want to simplify.
My transaction coordinator uses it.
Yeah, for me, I want the key elements for us, for our action plans. When someone writes an offer and they go into contract, we activate a plan to send an email to them to let people know what's going on. We have tasks set up for the assistant to know, like, this is the checklist now that has to happen now that they've gone into contract. And then when they remove conditions, we have another action plan that starts up once it's done. So we have a pipeline in Follow Up Boss that you can just drag the cards, like Kanban style. So I can move the card from in contract to firm. And as soon as I do that, because I've set up an automation, that action plan triggers right away. Or I can manually start that action plan. And for us, it's just a way to manage all the nitty gritty things that we want to get done in our system. When a client moves from here to here, here's all the things that happen, including make sure you do your stuff for your brokerage, right? Upload stuff for conveyancing. Like our brokerage has a signing thing inside, but see, sometimes a one size fits all is not always the greatest at everything. So I personally do have things separated, and our brokerage conveyancing system will never be our CRM. You're always going to have two different things in that regards.
The funny part about that is usually it's because of compliance or regulation, government oversight, right? So that's one reason, but also the brokerage, ironically enough, has an all-in-one system. They have their own all-in-one system. And I really think, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to build out their full transaction management website CRM where we won't even need to have Chime. I love Chime. I just think that they're going to start giving that.
Like sometimes when people try to do something that they're not specialized in, it doesn't always turn out to be the best. That's why you as an agent have to figure out what's best for your business and how you run your business. Like for me, Follow Up Boss has been working really well. So the next point was lead source, because it talks in transaction history. It talks about this history can inform your future interactions and provide insights into their preferences and patterns. It's also good for you as an agent to see last year of the deals I did, where did those come from? Did they come from Sphere? Did they come from YouTube? Did they come from Instagram? It's good insight for you as an agent to know in terms of where to put your efforts and your money to kind of get more business. If you don't track it, you don't know where it came from. You think in your head that 80% of the deals came from Sphere.
I like that you brought this up, and I like that ChatGPT brought it up because you know, I'm more of a mentor or kind of a team leader versus a coach. Because I'm not going to sit with people every week and say, did you do this? Did you do this? Coaches though. But what's a huge benefit? So like when you're working with coaching clients, I don't know if you do this, but my coach always asks, he goes, all right, where did most of your people come from, you know, this quarter? I was like, oh, I don't know, man. And then I was like, oh, wait, I do know. And I can look and see where they came from. That's something that isn't necessarily automated in Chime. You have to set it up. But when I do when we talk more robustly about it, I'll show you exactly how to do that. That is one heck of a tip, how to delineate your lead sources.
Yeah, lead sources too, like some of them can be automated. So we talked earlier about lead flow and lead pond. So if you're getting realtor.com or Zillow or whatever, and it's going into your CRM, it'll auto tag the source. So you don't have to like choose the source. But when I'm adding a lead in where I just met the person, then I need to choose, okay, who is this person? Did I just meet them? Because those things, it's clearly not going to be that smart. It's not following me around going, oh, Melody just met with her friend and she's now putting her friend into the CRM. That's completely different in terms of, can't automate everything. But I really like being able to track lead sourcing. When we work with our coaching membership, we talk about this as a key element in terms of knowing where your business comes from. That's the sales element, right? Because there's realtors have marketing, sales, and systems that they all need to work on. That's the key element of our coaching membership. And the systems is what we're talking about, but it's to help your sales. They're all tied together. And it also helps your marketing, because if most of your business is coming from YouTube, let's say, well, then you probably should be putting more effort into YouTube instead of the other thing that's giving you nothing. Let's say you're putting a ton of money into Google pay-per-click ads and it gave you 2 closed deals out of your 50. That makes no sense to be investing in that. That's my opinion anyways.
There's 2 things I wanted to talk about with lead source. I'll see if I can remember them. One of them was you can get so granular, it's scary. So I can tell in some situations, I can say a person was looking at this particular house that I listed, and that's why they came in as a lead source. Not just because, right? Or if somebody sent me a DM on an Instagram, that's very different than just coming from the internet.
Okay, quick thing. Can Chime tell if you sent a DM from social media? Because I don't know any CRMs that can do that yet.
I'm going to show you that in the next part. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think you kind of hit on this, and I guess I want to piggyback on it. A lot of realtors get caught up in well, my lead came from, let's say I'm going to use Instagram. My lead came from Instagram. But what I've learned about a lot of people is they will find you on one social media platform. And if they like you, they're going to do more research before they trust you, right? Unless you're giving them all the information. Some people are like that. So what I've found is that I actually have a lot of people that then go to my Google My Business profile or my Google Local Guides profile, and then they'll check what I've uploaded. They'll see that I've been to all these different places. They might go to Zillow and check my stuff. And so they might be doing all this before interacting. And so while I think that lead is coming from Instagram because I got a DM, it was really the Zillow review, even though I never talk about it. Like, it was really the Zillow review that brought them in. So that's why I want to track what was the click that got them in, not just like a high level, like I want to get as granular with the particular click. So that's a conversation for another time, but I really want you to think about that, which is why brand building is so important as a real estate agent. You want to be ubiquitous across all these different platforms because they should all feed into your CRM at some point. And if you don't have a solid YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Zillow,
well, and maybe that's another video Honestly, we should probably talk to the brand master himself, Brad. Maybe he'll come on to our podcast.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
So the other things I want to make sure we cover before we are done our podcast today are key dates, which we did actually talk about. So birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of thing. This is, again, it's to maintain that personal relationship. Tasks and reminders, property listings. We talked about notes and preferences.
Oh, can we pause on property listings for a second?
Yeah.
So an advantage of using a brokerage CRM at a national brokerage like Real Broker, like we're at, right, is that the CRM is kind of set up like a team. And I'm just taking this note, but I'll show it more in detail when we go through it. Because it's set up like a brokerage or an extremely large team, which is really what a brokerage is, right? You have access. Not me. Did I just cut out?
You're still going.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay. Yeah. So you have access to other listings at this brokerage.
And I don't know if on the recording side, if Ian's frozen, because he's frozen over here. So he's talking about,
I think
there you are, you're back.
I was saying, sorry.
You completely lost us.
So in the United States, the brokerage owns the listing. And so if I go in, because the brokerage provides this CRM, if I go in, I can see listings all across the Austin, Texas area. And if I have access to other MLSs, I can see those areas too. And so because of that, I can market that listing because it's not the agent that owns the listing. The broker owns the listing. I mean, the agent secured the listing or procured the listing, right? And I should always check with them to make sure, but they're not the owners of the listing, the brokerage is. And so I can go in and I can be like, oh, I can market that listing. I can market that listing. I can do paper. So Chime lets me just search for any agent's listing and click and promote it with pay-per-click, Facebook, Google, any of that. Or
if you do that here, you need to ask permission of the seller agent and the seller.
You always want to ask permission from the seller agent, and they should always have permission from their seller,
correct,
even though you have this access. My point is the software allows that to happen. And some people, if they're on their own CRM or they are at a small brokerage, they lose that and they don't know it. They never have that opportunity and they don't know it.
Well, and I think that's a little bit, I mean, with my coach hat on, if you're trying to just, elevate your CRM and like, what you're going to use it for, I think the property listings that we're talking about or the buyer stuff, that's a little bit, I think, a second layer. I think the first layer, honestly, is going to be what we talked about, which is like, I'd say the first 3, 4, the first 6, 7, first 7 ones are like the most important ones. Maybe not the property preferences one, just because like
as I'm looking through these, I'm seeing information storage and gathering, and then I'm seeing, information storage, and then there's information gathering. You have to gather contact information in order to store it. The CRM helps you store it, but how do you gather it? So this
and the CRM, I think it's also, what are you going to do with that information? Because like you said at the very beginning, the CRM is a client relationship management system. So if you're trying to build a relationship, if you don't know people's birthdays, for example, it's not like you can't build a relationship, but it's a lot more personal, just like knowing the kids' birthdays. Nobody phones anymore when it's your birthday. Like so I think so when you phone someone on their birthday, it stands out big time. I know one of the realtors in our brokerage, Jesse Peters, also sends out video. He makes a personalized video, right? Yep. So it stands out because no one does it. And it's not even it's not like you're standing out of all the realtors. You're standing out of all their friends. My friends weren't contacting me. They send you a text or they send you that dumb meme on Facebook. And I just said, we live in such a narcissistic society that when you're trying to wish someone happy birthday, there's an image of you wishing them happy birthday, not just happy birthday to so-and-so. That's just a side note rant.
And it's on their wall. Most people just put it on their wall because it's lazy and easy. Yeah.
Well, it's easy because Facebook makes it easy.
And then everybody else just sees how much praise they're getting but really it's an egotistical.
Once a year, my husband doesn't ever go on Facebook. And once a year on his birthday, I go on his Facebook to tell him who's all saying happy birthday to him. He doesn't even go on there ever. So it's kind of interesting. But to wrap up our CRM demystified, so hopefully in this episode, you have a little bit more clearer picture of like how you should be actually using the CRM, not just, hey, what CRM should I use? But actually us talking about the specifics. Now, make sure to tune into our Chime deep dive so that you can kind of see the inside scoops, and we'll talk to Ian about how he uses it and gives us some insight on that. But regardless of what CRM you use, today's, I think, episode should give you some really key elements in terms of what you should be doing. So we'd like to challenge you every single time, every single episode of something you should do. And I don't know what challenge to do, because some people listening may have a CRM or they may not even have one.
I think the challenge would be, how many of your contacts do you have their birthdays and their kids' birthdays? And maybe throw in house anniversaries. How many?
And how about just a basic phone number, email, and address? Because I bet you a lot of you guys.
Phone number, email, address.
Yeah. I know it seems so petty, but guess what? If you're not so busy in real estate, this is what you should be busy with. Getting that information, going out for coffee with these people that you haven't talked to in a while. And then while you're out for coffee, you're able to like, hey, I'm just updating my database. That's actually quite a normal thing that people do in business in general. It's not a weird thing. I think sometimes people get all weirded. You get in your own head about what you should and should not be asking. But the reality is that there's a lot of stuff. You can just ask them, hey, I want to send out a birthday card. Are you good with me getting your birthday? Like stuff like that. Or just snooping on Facebook and finding it. Yeah. It's easy to find kids' birthdays, by the way. An easy hack, just look at their feed, because their feed shows, like, we always, when people have babies, we also record them. As soon as I see someone had a baby, I like go straight into my CRM and I write the kid's name and birthday in, because now I know baby announcement.
That's good. I don't do that. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So,
and so that's good.
Don't let
indecision be the decision.
We'll talk next time on all the things of Chime.
Heck yeah. Excited to talk to you. Thank you.